Yo, what's good everybody? This is Suheel back with Feel Good Threads, and today we're going to take it back a notch. Instead of showing you guys how to customize a shoe, we're going to show you guys the foundation of customizing, which is restoration. I've got a pair of 10-year-old anniversary 11s here, and I'm going to show you guys how to make the bottoms icy. With that said, let's get it. Alright y'all, before we start this tutorial, I just wanted to give you guys a side-by-side comparison here. This shoe right here is the Jordan 11 Legend Blue 2014 versus the Jordan 11 Anniversary here on my left side. And look at that difference, guys. There's a huge difference in coloration or discoloration at this point. So our goal is to get this left shoe here to look just like this Legend Blue after we're done. All right, we're only gonna do this one shoe. We're gonna show you guys session after session in the sun how well our icing application works. Speaking of icing applications, I wanted to show you guys what we're gonna be using today. Everyone keeps asking me, what's the best icing application? And from what I've heard, Salon Care 50 is more than likely the best application that you can use when you want to ice your soles out. There's tons of alternatives, but today I wanted to test this guy out because I've never tried it before. So the first step before you even start doing any kind of icing or putting any application on is making sure this bottom sole is completely cleaned. If you have rocks, if you have remnants, if you have dirt, anything of that nature, it needs to be completely cleaned off. Reason being that if you want this to be an effective icing, you got to make sure that the sun can actually hit the icy bottoms. All right, so with that said, I'm going to just jump into it, get some cleaner, and we're going to clean the bottoms up. I think majority of this guy cleaned. Just grabbing a microfiber towel here, and we're going to just clean off all of the soap, all the suds, and really try to get this guy to be dry. So when we put the application on, it'll have full effectiveness. Make sure you get on all the crevices, make sure that there's no dirt. And I can tell that we're looking good here because I can see through the translucent part of the sole, and I could see everything through it without any dirt stains or anything. So I'm pretty comfortable now getting to the next step, which is actually using the Salon Care 50, and we're gonna just glaze over the Salon Care 50 in a nice clean application, trying to avoid getting it this far in between the midsole and the actual icy sole. This part here, guys, is the portion you need to be careful for. If you put Salon Care 50 in this section here, it has a potential or risk of ungluing itself. From what I understand, you need to actually have a license in order to buy this stuff. I will show you guys how you guys can get this without a license. Just don't tell nobody, all right? Some real important tips before we even jump on putting this application on. One of the reasons why you need to have a permit to use this stuff is it's super strong. So you may want to wear gloves, number one. You want to make sure you're not wearing anything attire-wise that you want to get dirty. And then the last thing, if you have any kind of jewelry or whatever, you want to definitely make sure that you take it off because, well, you don't want to mess up your nice stuff, right? So when we put the application on our actual shoe, we're going to go ahead and put some cling wrap on it afterwards, and what that does is it prevents the application from drying out too prematurely. We're going to make sure that we wrap this up to the point where it can actually be effective enough where it doesn't dry out. All right, so let's jump onto that first step. What I'm going to do is lay out this cling wrap first. So what I like to do, I like to unravel it to the point where I can comfortably see that the shoe is completely going to be, at least to this point, immersed in cling wrap after we put the application on. I'm going to just grab a quick razor blade here and cut the sections that we don't need. So now we know that for sure this section here fits the shoe, and we're going to go ahead and unbottle the Salon Care 50. I like to pour this out in smaller sections, that way you don't waste product if you don't need to. It's kind of my rule of thumb in a lot of things. And now we're gonna just go ahead and grab a brush here. Grabbed a pretty big brush here because we're working on a bigger surface. And I'll flip this guy over now, and we will just start immersing the Icey part with the Salon Care 50 and trying to avoid any other parts that don't need to have it on there. For example, like the carbon fiber plate, you definitely don't want to have some of that hit on there because I don't know what it's going to do to it. So I don't want it to burn or discolor, unglue itself. So this is a little bit of technique. You want to make sure you lather on enough. And I like to work from the bottom of the sole first and then do the sides afterwards. And since we're working on the whole bottom, we might as well do the rubber parts as well. And let's see how they react. Again, you want to put a generous portion on the actual soles just to make sure that you're covering the entire area, but also because this stuff is really effective when it has the whole portion covered. If you're too light with it, then it's going to take more sessions. Also, things can get a little confusing at times, so it's a good idea to kind of take this rubber portion here and just work on that, make sure the whole part is lathered, and then jump onto other sections. That way you don't miss anything. All right guys, so from the side here, I don't start right at the edge. I like to kind of put the icing application here in the middle and then start to veer away from the midsole area. That way you're still getting the application on the sides, but it's not so much where you have to worry about there's going to be any kind of sole separation. If you start getting sole separation, that's a whole different animal, and it becomes a problem because now you have to re-glue stuff. When I work on the sides, I never have it flip like this because I don't want it to leak down. So you try to keep it at an angle where you can see the progress and make sure that nothing is starting to get in between the midsole and the Icey sole parts. All right, y'all, I've got the Salon Care 50 completely laced out on this Icey sole and the rubber bottom as well. The next step before I start to put the cling wrap onto this guy, I just take a double check just to make sure that there's no excess that's landed on parts that I don't want it to be on. So if you see anything, for example, if you see it in this little crevice or if you see it hitting the midsole, you want to try to wipe that off before you put it into the sun, because that's where it starts to activate, and when it starts to activate, it really does a job, okay? So I'm pretty comfortable with the way it looks. What I'll do now is just very carefully place it down onto my cling wrap here. And then I'll start to move this foil up. In general, guys, because it's a wet application, when you put it up like this, it should kind of stick to it by itself. So you don't have to do a lot of work. But again, you want to make sure when you're doing this that it's not hitting anything that it shouldn't hit. For example, the midsole. What I like to do is just do like little taps like this. Little taps will kind of help it stick. It'll also ensure that you're not like pressing it into the midsole when you don't need to. And we'll flip it. Again, doing just little taps. And I'm doing it just on the outer sections here. And then we'll just do that right here just to get a little bit of adhesion between the two. And I think we should be good to go, guys. Let's go take this guy out to the sun, and we're gonna do our first session. All right, y'all, it's a nice sunny day, so we're gonna go ahead and lay out our Jordan 11. I'm just gonna leave it here on the ground. I brought this little tray here just to lace it down here so then the white upper won't get all messed up. So let's go ahead and just lay it down here. I'm gonna give this guy 30 minutes. Again, it's a very smart idea just to kind of come by every 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so, just to make sure nothing's leaking. All right, if you guys see leaking, that's important that you clean that up, because otherwise it'll start to burn into the sole. All right, so let's lay this guy down. Just make sure the cling wrap hasn't moved anywhere. Again, just give some little taps just to make sure that you're locking in the Salon Care. And we should be good to go. There we go. Cool. Let's give this guy 30 minutes. 30 minutes or so, we'll be done with our first session. After we're done with our first session, we'll clean off all the Salon Care 50 and we'll take a look and see how it compares to the other shoe. All right guys, so I've been periodically checking on this Jordan 11. We're done pretty much with the first session. Today, it's about 5:30, so I think we didn't catch the best sunlight, but we got a good portion of it. It probably would be a little bit more effective if we had started around 12 o'clock. Unfortunately, since we didn't get to that point, we're still gonna continue with taking a look at what the first session looks like. So let's bring it indoors. We're gonna go ahead and wash off all of the icing treatment and let's see how well it did. I'm in the bathroom right now. This is the first session complete of our Salon Care 50. Now that I take a real good look at what the bottom sole looks like, I could already tell a huge difference between the rubber portions from before and now. So let's go ahead and very carefully take off the saran wrap. When I do that, I like to just kind of peel it from each side, so then that way you don't accidentally get it on your upper or on your midsole. And now that we got that done, let's just put this guy to the side. We're gonna put it under cold water. That's really, really important because if you put it in hot water, you could potentially loosen the outsole and you don't want that to happen. What I'll be doing is just scrubbing off all of the treatment and then we're gonna dry it off. So we wanna consistently be taking this brush, washing it off, and then taking the rest of the treatment off the sole. Now what I like to do here is put it underneath the water and scrub down. So what I'll do is I'll work on the front, get all of the ice off, then we'll flip the shoe to this side and do the exact same thing. As I'm taking it off, I'm really trying my best to only concentrate on the bottom sole. Try not to hit the midsole. Don't want any of the Salon Care 50 to even touch any of the midsole if possible. All right, y'all, this is the first session down. I'm gonna go ahead and just dry off all the water so we can take a real look at how well the Salon Care 50 did. I can already tell you right now, the rubber is looking brand spanking new almost, and that's in one session. All right, y'all, so we got the icy sole, all of the icy treatment is removed. We've dried off the sole. Now we get to compare this guy to its counterpart. Let's go check out the difference and see how it did. All right, y'all, it's day number 6. I'm continuing to do the icing applications. A couple of challenges that I've been having lately. It's been dreary some days. It's actually even rained a couple of days. So those days are pretty much void. I can't do any of this icing outside. Another thing that I noticed that I've been challenged with is the shoes will start to kind of fall over or keel over, so it won't get that proper sunlight. So because of that, I decided to make a little box and just cut inserts for the shoes to fit into. So if you guys take a look at this, it'll really help you guys out and to not worry about these shoes tilting over. All right, last thing, guys, it took us 10 years to oxidize this shoe and get to this yellow color. It's not going to be an overnight success to become icy. So 6 applications is really not a big deal. I'm going to go ahead and clean this off and we'll show you guys some results. All right, y'all, so same deal. We just took it from outside. We're going to take off the film very carefully. Sometimes it's so hot that it ends up crystallizing. So let's see, yeah, you could kind of see it's already dried up in there. So once it dries up, it's a wrap. You should just take it off. See this section here, it's crystallized. It's no longer like liquidy. So if it looks like that, you already know that it's pretty much done. It's not gonna be effective. It's time to take it off. Let's clean this guy off. I brought some cleaner with me as well, so we'll use some cleaner afterwards just to really see if we got a nice result out of this one. All right guys, 6 sessions in, we cleaned off the bottom of our one sole. I want to show you guys actual results here from the side angle. You can see that we're starting to get that icy blue versus the yellow here on the left side. And then on the bottom, you can clearly see a night and day result, especially on the rubber portions. I mean, it is bright white versus that dingy yellow that we had. So we're getting there. And today we're actually gonna take advantage of the sun. It's about 5 o'clock, so I think we can probably bang out one more small session. We're gonna jump into session number 7. Let's go ahead and put down another quick application. And I'm only now concentrating on the icy parts. I'm not putting any more on this white rubber portion because, hell, I don't think it's gonna get much whiter than it is. It's really bright white. And what we're worrying about now is just really concentrating on any of the parts that are yellow. We're giving that a nice layer. And as we work through the whole portion here, I'm making sure I'm starting from one end here. Like for example, I'm working here in the middle and I'm either going up or down. So I'm gonna go ahead and go down on this one first. That way we make sure we cover everything. And even more important, guys, is you guys see that like little crevice here? You want to try to get it on the inside here. So then that way it'll be concentrating on both the inside and the outside sole here. And I like to position my brush like this. When you do that, you can try to get it in that little crevice. See that? If you run out, just grab a little bit more, drop it in. So we're gonna get it all the way around. All right guys, so this is what I've learned over the last 7 sessions is it's a lot easier to apply this guy when this is already set down. So I start by trying to get the back end. So I see the back end is covered nice. And then I'll very carefully lay this down like this. You're just draping it right on top. Bam. And now everything just kind of naturally falls because of gravity and you can tap things into place. Nice and easy. Now that we're all set, all I've got to do is take this outside. Yo, last tip. Before we jump outside and put this shoe up, let's take any excess of the sauce that I have here. And what I'll do is I'll just open this guy up and I'll just pour back any remaining portion. Now, none of this portion has touched anything that is oxidized or anything. It's clean. So that's the only reason why I'm saving material. And you guys can see that was quite a bit there that I scooped up. All right, now you can see the plate's clean. Let's get this bad boy icy. All right, y'all, session number 7 might be a little bit shorter because the sun's going down, but today I'm gonna concentrate on the back end heel. I noticed that this part here is a little bit more yellow than the front end, and I think it's just because it hasn't been getting as much sun. So don't forget, if you wanna angle in different angles, you can do that as well, especially if you see one portion is not getting as much sun as the other portion is. So let's go ahead and give this guy an hour or 2 because that's probably as much sunlight as we have left. All right, guys, so after 12 grueling days and 9 sessions, this is the final result of our Jordan 11 anniversaries. As you guys can see, the shoe here on the left side is the shoe that I iced. The shoe on the right side is the actual shoe with no touches to it whatsoever. And you guys can see 10 years of oxidation on this right shoe here, and it reversed out in only 9 days. So this was 9 days of long work. It wasn't just like I sat out there and chilled. So a couple of things that I found out from icing these soles out, and I want to share these tips with you guys because they're that important, okay? My first takeaway, icing out these traction pods, you have to be very careful with that because some solutions, from what I hear, they will actually make your traction pods slippery. And if you have slippery traction pods and no grip, you could bust your ass. So rule number one, make sure you know what icing solution you're using and how powerful it is. Rule number two, when I'm icing these guys out and then I'm actually coming back inside doors to wash off all the solution, use shoe cleaner as well because that'll help accelerate the process of getting these boys icy again. Rule number three, I'm using nice cool water because I've had this guy out in the sun for an hour or 2 hours. What that does is it starts to melt the glue. You don't want to start adding boiling water to the whole session because that could separate the sole completely. So pay attention and use cold water. Never use boiling hot water when you're cleaning the solution off. Last tip, guys, number four, if you have an old shoe like this that's 10 years old, you got to monitor it. You have to make sure that you're doing shorter sessions versus a brand new shoe where it might have a little bit of oxidation and it can withstand 2, 3, 4 hour sessions. For me, 30 minutes to an hour was good for this guy, but again, it takes a lot of work to make sure you're monitoring, all right? This took 9 days. That's a long time. On our Patreon channel, we're going to show you guys how to do the same process. We're going to show you how to do an indoor setup so you can do it in less time. You can do it whenever you want. And on top of that, we're going to show you guys how to make money off the process. All right. So please visit us at patreon.com/feelgoodthreads. We'll show you guys not only how to do this, but we'll show you how to clean up and brighten up these uppers as well. You'll have a brand new Jordan 11 anniversary in your hands. And on top of that, we'll show you how to do back tabs. We'll show you guys how to do midsoles as well. And so then that way you will definitely benefit. All right. With that said, my name is Suheel with Feel Good Threads. If you guys like this tutorial, hit that thumbs up button for me. Comment below, let me know how I did. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel because we got more heat on the way. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Peace.